Okay, welcome back. This is Dan Brown with Prosperity Corps, and I am doing this, as you all know, it's my volunteer moonlight, and it's been a little bit. And I surveyed to find out, what do you want to know about? And it kind of goes back to where we all started when COVID-19 hit. When COVID-19 hit, there were a lot of concerns with financing. How do I keep my company afloat? And at that point in time, we had some help from Jim Cars, who came on and gave us some direction on applying for PPP and the various government loans available to keep your company going. Okay, well, good news. We're moving through COVID-19 just like we said we would. It's not over yet, but we see an end in sight. Now, what's the next step? The next step is actually figuring out how we can make it through this financially the best way possible. And to help us with that, we have Maya Weinreb, who's with Solvency now. It's bookkeeping, but she does a bunch of other stuff. And Maya has done a magnificent amount of research and has been helping a lot of us with what do we do for PPP and how do we go forward. So Maya, what I'd love you to do is just kind of introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about your history, a little bit about your company, a little bit about your offerings, and then the biggest thing that came up on the survey was all about how do we apply for forgiveness for this PPP financing. So Maya, take it away.
Okay, great. Well, thank you so much, Dan. So like you said, I have a bookkeeping firm, Solvency Now Bookkeeping, Inc. And I personally have been doing bookkeeping over 15 years, which feels like forever now. So I've been doing lots. I know it's not forever for everybody else, but it feels like forever for me. So I have helped probably hundreds of companies at this point with their bookkeeping, putting in financial planning, getting their bills paid on time, just getting organized so that they can file their taxes correctly at the end of the year. And what we do for our clients that we're actually doing monthly bookkeeping for is that every month they get a full set of reports so they can actually do financial planning and financial management with those reports. They have a P&L and a balance sheet and a cash flow report. And I actually have been told that a lot of people takes them weeks or months to be able to get that from their CPA or finance person. So that's something that we just offer to everyone so that they can really have knowledge on their numbers and can do correct planning.
It's really nice. Well done. I like that.
Yeah, thank you. Obviously, with COVID-19, I had a lot of clients come to me asking for help on how to apply for these various loans. And while I couldn't fill out the applications for them, I could give them all the raw information that they needed to fill it out. So I did tons and tons and hours of research on all of the PPP stuff. And most of my clients that applied were able to get the PPP loans. There are a lot of people who I know of that couldn't get the loans because they didn't have any bookkeeping, so they couldn't apply for it correctly, or they just had errors like they were S corps and they didn't have a payroll, or they were only paying everybody on 1099s and nobody had a payroll, so they didn't have a payroll amount they could borrow against. So that definitely brought to light a really big area of, we've got to have our finances and our financial reporting done correctly so that in case anything ever happens, you've got those records. I mean, you need them anyways for investors, for loans, things like that. So you want, so that's what I really help people with. So
nice.
Yeah. So now that almost everybody has their PPP loans, I think they just re-upped so you can still apply if you haven't gotten it yet. But almost everybody got them already. So now everyone's asking me, okay, how do we get them forgiven? So the first thing is, don't panic. You have 10 months after the covered period to apply for forgiveness. So the covered period was either, depending on how you did it, because at first you had 8 weeks to spend that PPP money on payroll, and then they extended it so you have 24 weeks. So, but you can either use the 8-week period or the 24-week period. So once that time period is up, however long it takes you to spend your payroll, then you can apply for forgiveness. there are forms that'll either be through the SBA or your bank will send you their own version, you know, whoever lent you the money. So they'll send you your own version and you fill it out, and you can easily get reports from your payroll service, or your bookkeeper can help you, or if you don't have a bookkeeper, and I'll help. And you basically just need the numbers. Again, you're going to have to fill out, you know, you have to sign the report yourself, or sorry, the application form yourself. So I can't fill it out for you, but I can give you almost all the information that you need to fill it out, and you have to attest that you used it correctly and whatever. But the actual payroll forms and reports that you'll get will make it very easy to fill out. They just show that you used it on the correct things. Obviously, if you're an owner, or if you're getting payroll, if someone's getting payroll that's over 100,000 a year, it's going to be under that 100,000 cap that counts. The employer payroll taxes, federal employer payroll taxes aren't forgivable, but the employee taxes are, things like that. So the report will show that. It'll make it really easy to fill it out. And then it goes to the financial institution. They have 60 days to give you a reply. Then it goes to the SBA. They have 90 days to give you a reply. And most likely, if you did everything right, you'll get it forgiven. If you don't, still don't panic. It's only going to be a 1% loan, and you have, depending on the financial institution, you'd have 2 to 5 years to pay back whatever amount doesn't get forgiven. So either way, don't panic, stay calm, soldier on. And this is a very simple process. It's government, so they like to make it look complicated, but it's not that complicated, and we'll all get through it.
Awesome. That's some great direction. And so, yeah, I guess that puts it into perspective. At 1%, kind of the worst case scenario isn't that bad. So
Exactly.
But again, if we could, if we could take advantage of the government's assistance for small businesses, then we jump on it. And now, Maya, tell us a little bit about, so you've covered, I think it was great. I think it was a great overview. I think it's great to know that, there's still openings if you haven't applied. I know some people who didn't apply because they didn't know what to do. They heard false information to begin with, and they didn't think they qualified, so they didn't do it. So you could go ahead and jump in that right now. I have a few questions about that, but before we go into those questions, just give us your contact information. You said if somebody had questions, they could contact you. So can you tell us?
Yeah, absolutely. So my website is solvencynow.com. You can also email me directly, maya@solvencynow.com, and that is MAYA@solvencynow.com. I'm also all over Facebook and LinkedIn that you've probably seen. You can either look me up under my name, Maya Weinreb, or my company, Solvency Now Bookkeeping. I really have feelers out everywhere, so you could probably light a campfire and send a smoke signal and I'll find you. So you just, contact me. You can send an email. You can message me on my business Facebook, my personal Facebook, my LinkedIn. I will get back to you. So I definitely am very open and available to help people.
Awesome. Just awesome. So tell me some questions we probably should be asking you right now. So what are some of the questions that business owners should be asking you?
As far as PPP loans, or on a different?
Yeah, about PPP. Let's take a look at, first in forgiveness or payback, things to be concerned about, things to be wary of. I know there's a lot of guidelines of what you can use it for, what you can't. So maybe you could touch on that a little bit.
Yeah, I can touch on that. So when it first came out, the rules were you had to spend 75% of it, at least 75% on payroll, and you could use 25% on loans, or sorry, not loans, mortgages, rent, those kinds of things. Most people are going to end up spending most of it on their payroll, because not that many people that I work with, at least, have huge warehouses that they need to spend that money. But at the same time, they also only gave us 8 weeks to spend 10 weeks of payroll. And that was hard on most of my clients, most small business owners, because they were like, what am I supposed to do? Pay an extra person? Like, can I pay myself a bonus? No, you can't pay yourself a bonus. So it was like complicated to figure out. But then when they extended the covered period to 24 weeks, that made it really simple. And they also changed the amount that you had to spend on payroll to only 60% instead of 75%. Now, again, that doesn't help you unless you have a giant warehouse that you're renting, you know, that you can spend that money on. But regardless, it gave you 24 weeks to spend all the payroll that you borrowed for a 10-week time period. So that helped a lot of people. Yeah, and it basically was, they kept it pretty simple. It was just spend it on payroll. You know, there's certain things, like I said earlier, that don't count as far as the forgivable amount. The employer federal taxes, you can't use the PPP money for any money that someone gets salaried over 100,000, meaning you'd have to take that 100,000 and divide it by week to get the forgivable amount for the period.
Right.
You know, and those are the main things. They put in a couple more rules as far as owners. You can contribute to your retirement fund, but you can't count, you know, so there's a few little rules. But if you're using a payroll service, they will provide a report for you that shows those things, and it'll show the amount that counts in the PPP forgivable amount. So they are, you know, everyone was scrambling to catch up. I know QuickBooks took several weeks to get their programming, and Xero is getting it going. So all the different payroll services were scrambling to catch up, and there was lots of changes, and it was all very confusing. But for the most part, we now have pretty good reports that will just give you that information very simply. And if you can't get that, then your bookkeeper will be able to put a report together based on those reports, you know, pulling your financial data. Now, of course, there are people who are sole proprietors and they don't have a payroll. So then a lot of those guys were the ones wondering, can I still apply for PPP, right?
Sure.
So yeah, so you actually can apply for the PPP as a sole proprietor. It's a little bit of a different process in how you count your payroll, because you're going to count your payroll pretty much as what is your net profit. Like, what have you paid yourself, you know, because you have all that money that you reported as deductions on your taxes, and whatever was left that you personally paid taxes on, that's going to be kind of what you considered your payroll. So, you know, you might, depending on how much money you made, you might not get a huge loan for PPP or a grant, you know, once it gets forgiven, but you can still get something based on that. So even if you're a sole proprietor, you can still qualify for the PPP. If you are an S Corp and you didn't get a payroll set up, then you can't qualify for the PPP. If you're just paying people as 1099 contractors, that doesn't count as payroll, because those people are generally sole proprietors and they can apply for their own PPP. So, you know, you really had to have your legal rudiments in on your payroll and how in your tax structure in order to qualify. But a lot of people do still qualify.
It's great info.
Yeah.
Good. Well, you know, I think there's probably, you know, for individuals, there's probably a bunch of different questions. And I think the best thing is that they reach out. You know, it seems like you've done a massive amount of homework.
Yeah,
I think it yes, looks like it, sounds like it. I think we should stress this is not the area to mess around with. This is not the area to do anything. Not that there ever is a time on finances to mess around. But I think what I've heard is it has been made vividly clear that this is not the time to play around, do funky things, go ahead and try and slip in some office equipment and stuff, because if this gets audited, this is now federal fraud. And I just, not that I want to be the bad guy and bring up bad news or anything like that, but I just think it's very important that people know that. So anything you can add on that point?
I agree with you, and I've been stressing that to my clients and people as well. It has a federal fine, which I believe was up to $1 million, and jail time. And I've read articles of people when, you know, when we had the 2008, you know, similar things and stimulus packages and loans, there's people who went to jail because they used it incorrectly. And I don't even think they were being malicious. I think they just did it wrong and thought they could do things with it. I don't know exactly what type of loans we had then. I don't remember, but like for instance, the EIDL loan that you can get from the SBA, that is only to be used for operating expenses. So you
Right.
can use it for short-term loans if you want to make your credit card minimum payments, things like that. But you can't you can't invest, you can't have capital purchases, you can't pay down long-term loans. And I could easily see, because a lot of people have just been given this lump sum $150,000, and it's like, oh great, I can pay off all my loans and my credit cards, and
Sure.
maybe I can make donations. And it's like, no, you can't. You really
Right.
can't, because you don't want to have a huge fine or a lawsuit, or have to, hire a good lawyer just to show that you were, that you didn't do it on purpose. It's just like, just skip
Right.
all that. Now, what I've been
Yeah.
telling my clients to do is set up a separate bank account to put that money into, whether the PPP or the EIDL, but separate, so that you can really track easily and audit easily what went in and out. So now let's say you have this going, which this is, my own opinion on this. But if you have your own bank account that just has the EIDL money and you use that for only for operational expenses, okay, so now you have your regular business account that your normal money comes into. You can use that money for whatever you want for business. You can use it to pay yourself bonuses, or whatever you would normally do. If you wanted to make an investment, you do it out of this account, so that it's never going to be confused, and no one could ever accuse you of using the EIDL money to make an investment, which you shouldn't do. You should be very, very careful, and track it carefully. And the best way I personally can think of is to have it in a separate account, especially when it's a huge amount of money, like 150 grand. That's very tempting to go buy a new car or pay off old loans. And you just shouldn't do that. You can call the SBA to ask them specifically if there's some question that you have, and you can consult your CPA to make sure. Obviously there's different circumstances and situations. And is it a long-term loan? Is it a short-term loan? Can I pay off credit cards? Well, technically they're short-term, so yes, but be careful because of this or this. So you're going to want to make sure, if you do anything other than paying for operating expenses that are very obvious, that you double check with your people who you have, your CPA, a lawyer, call the SBA, really get it clarified before you do anything that's a large purchase. And then just don't use that account as much as possible. Use your regular business account, so this money is easy and clear.
It's great. It's great. I mean, it's really just smart. It's just logical, and it makes it
Mm-hmm.
easy. So that's great, Maya. Before we kind of finish off here, I know you have somewhere between 50 and 70 clients. So it's not like this is just something run
Currently.
out of the, yeah. And, so if somebody did need or want services, can you just give a quick overview of what it is your company offers as far as different services?
Yeah, we have all different levels of services. I kind of look at it like, well, it's like, what is needed and wanted. So different companies of different sizes need different things. Some people, they just need financial reporting once a month. Some companies rather need their payroll and their bills paid and their invoices collected. So we have the full range, basically a full accounting or treasury department, down to just reviewing your financials quarterly. So it's whatever level of service you need, we will provide that for you. Um, and of course, I love to be able to provide full service for my clients. So I have quite a few that we do their books every week. We give them a bill summary. We send invoices to all their customers or clients. We follow up on those invoices with their customers or clients. We give them their financial planning, and they approve everything, and we go through and pay all the bills. We do their payroll. We track everything. So they literally, and we will coordinate liaise with their CPA, or if they don't have one, then I'll help them get one, because I have several that I work with. So, I love doing that for companies because it's such a relief for them. My mission statement for
Sure.
my company is complete and perfect financial records for your peace of mind. And that's what
Nice.
I
I love that.
really,
Great.
right? Isn't that great? Yeah, we just came up with it really recently, and I was like, yes, that's what I do. Uh, so, and that's what I love about it because finances is such a stressful thing for so many people
Sure.
that it's like, okay, here, give it to me. I'll take care of it for you. You don't worry. I'm going to give you the reports so you can, you can have your data to make financial decisions. If you want me to give you even more, like if you want me to give you a proposal of what we should do with the money this week, then here you go. And people are just like, oh, thank you. It's such a relief for them. And that's what I really like, because I love being able to help business owners succeed in their companies. So that's what I really do.
Sure.
And we'll do all that down to, okay, we're a new company. We're going to do the bookkeeping ourselves. So I'll train people on QuickBooks, and then I'll go through quarterly and review their books and make sure it's being done right. Or I even have some big companies that they'll do their books internally in-house. And then again, I review it for them, just because it's always great to have another set of eyes and someone who's looking at the big
Sure.
picture. So, it's all level of services. And I'm also even working with, I have a team of CPAs, tax preparers. I'm getting people who do like life insurance and annuities and health insurance and all that as part of my team. So I'm going to have this great referral network. So I always have someone who can help on the exact financial thing you need. Because again, like finances is a big, broad area. And while I only do the bookkeeping, kind of extending up through taxes and of course like the 1099 filing and the sales tax, all the tax compliance stuff, there's so much more to it. So I'm really putting together this awesome team where no matter what you need, I'll have someone that can help you as part of my team.
That's awesome. Sounds awesome. Good. And
Thank
then
you.
one
Yeah.
last thing before we end, again, your contact details, best way to reach you, email, phone.
Yes. Phone number. Okay. So you can call me. Hang on, I got a new business phone number. So let me tell you what it is. But my email is maya@solvencynow.com. My website is
Good.
solvencynow.com. My phone number is 813-336-1574. That's 813-336-1574. And yeah, LinkedIn, Facebook, Maya Weinreb, or Solvency Now Bookkeeping. You can look me up. And
Fantastic.
I always reply. We have a company policy. We always reply within 1 business day at the latest. And I actually try to reply even less, although ever since Mr. Edwin Dearborn started helping me on marketing, my email's been blowing up. So the 1 business day is kind of what's happening, but I really try to reply.
Sounds like a good problem. Sounds like a great
Yeah,
problem.
it's a fun problem. It's a fun problem. But, a lot of people tell me, oh, I sent my CPA an email and it's been 3 weeks or 2.5 weeks. So I know that that's a big button on the finance lines.
It is.
And yeah,
100%.
and so I don't allow that at all. Whether you email me or one of my bookkeepers directly, you're going to get a communication back within 1 business day latest. Even if it's just to say, great, we'll research that for you and get back to you. Or, give us a few days to get that done. At least you know that your voice didn't go into, an echo and like, hello, hello, like you'll know we got the communication and we're going to work on it and we'll let you know when it'll be done. So that's very important to me.
Nice one. Great. Maya, I really appreciate you taking this time. I think a lot of people are going to appreciate the fact that you've given this data and that they can just reach out with whatever questions. So thanks again for being here.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks so much for having me. This was fun.
Yeah, good. And to everybody else out there, listen, we want to know what it is that you need help with. Maya's come on and talked on a very sensitive point. I'd love you to send her any feedback. If there's anything else that you'd like to know about, let us know. Mr. Edwin Dearborn, thanks for helping and getting Maya over to us. And you're helping with her promotion and such. And that's how I found out about Maya. So Maya, great luck on your success. Sounds like you don't need much luck, but well done. Keep it going. And
Thank you.
we'll catch up with everybody very soon. everybody, best of luck with things going forward. And Prosperity Core is here for you if you need. And of course, LRH Admin Tech is the way out. So let's just stay standard and keep it going. Thanks again, Maya. And we'll all check in with you on the next one. See you next time.
Awesome. Love it. Okay, bye.